Since our singing voices didn't make it to Nashville,
we figured we would use our voices in a completely different way.
we're two friends hanging out, sharing about our businesses.
Our journeys to motherhood, things we love, and making time to do life.
Together. This is
Two Chicks and a Glass.
Hey y'all. Hello. Hi y'all. I'm LaShonda and I am one half of Two Chicks in a Glass.
Hey y'all, I'm Angela and I am the other half of Two Chicks and a Glass. And tonight we're actually going to talk about getting past hurt. Like, how do you know you're healed? We're going to talk about situations where we've been hurt. So, we are definitely going to get into all of that. But before we do that, right now, stop what you're doing and hit subscribe.
Hit follow, whatever you need to hit. If you're on YouTube, if you are on Pandora, Spotify, Apple, Google, whatever you're watching us on or listening to us on right now, hit subscribe or follow.
Right now. Okay. So now that y'all have done that, we're going to go ahead and talk about what's in our glass. So tonight I'm going to start it off, and I am drinking Decoy. So I first tried this wine like a few years ago. Nick brought it home and he was like, "Oh, it's the I can't even think of their names now. It's from that show, like some guys that are hunting. I do know
Duck
that
Dynasty?
there you go, Duck Dynasty. It's the Decoy. So I am drinking. It's a 2018 Cabernet Sauvignon. It's talking about how long this was established for. It's been around for like 30 years. Um, there is, it's a family wine talking about friends, and I'm just going to tell you what I like about it. So it's actually kind of dark. If you're on our YouTube channel, you can see that. This bottle was right around 23 bucks from a gas station. So you can get it at your local gas station, 23 bucks. That's how much it is here. It's a California wine. It is a Cabernet. It's a little bit darker. I actually like it. It's kind of tart. Let me taste. It's not as dry as most cabs. So it's a little bit fruity. We're going to go with the word fruit forward because it sounds good coming off my lips, I feel. So that's what I'm gonna go with tonight. I really like the wine. I haven't drank it in a long time. I will say that it is one that does taste pretty good, so I would drink it multiple times. So now that I've talked about my wine, I'm actually gonna go into my lippy. This is one that I've chatted about before. It is called Peanut Butter Cup. If you are seeing me on YouTube, you see I have this like orangish peanut butter top on. So I went with this color. It is the enduring lip color, which means those last 4 to 6 hours. They will go on a liquid, dry as a mat, and stay on your lips underneath your mask. If you want that on, then all you have to do is apply a thin layer for it to stay on under your mask. It will stay on even with multiple coats whenever you are drinking your wine. So I always like things that I can, get my sip on with whenever I'm wearing it. But it's peanut butter cup and it looks like a peanut butter. So that's what I've got on my lips. So LaShonda, what are you drinking today?
Well, I have a wine from France, and I will say that I have been to France and I have done wine tastings and things there, and they taught me how, to read the bottles and stuff, but I don't remember. So I am going to try to share with you the wine that I'm drinking. One, because it's a French wine, and I wanna share it with you because it's a good wine. I may not pronounce everything correctly, but that's okay. Who speaks French? Not me. All right. So I have a French varietal. It is, I don't know if you can see that. And it's good. You can actually see it if you're looking on YouTube. But It is a French wine from Languedoc, and Languedoc, France. And the name of it is, this is what I'm really going to mess up. Passe de l'Escalette. I have no idea if I'm saying that right, but it is a varietal. The winemakers are Julian and Delphine Zernot. That is the family that makes this wine. And as I told you, it's a varietal. It's a combination of Grenache, 45% Grenache, 30% Carignan, and 25% Syrah. So it's a really good wine to me. It has a nice color on it, a kind of a dark, almost purplish, like deep color. I really like the color on it. And when I taste it, which I've already tasted it before, I'm going to taste it again for y'all.
Go ahead.
Um, it is not too bold and not too light either. So it's kind of right in the middle. I get raspberries and cherries and a lot of your red fruits like plums and things like that from this. It's acidic and dry, but again, to me, just not too dry. It's almost light for me, but some people may have it and it may be a little bit dry to them. But it's really good. You get a lot of the fruits in this. Some people get chocolate undertones as well. So it's just a really good, easy drinking wine. And really it's only, this is a 2016, by the way, and it's only about a $25 bottle of wine. So it's one, I don't know where you can find this one at, because I'm not sure. I think this is another one that I may have gotten in one of my subscription boxes that I get. So I'm not sure if you can find it locally. It was one that was shipped to me, but if you can find it, it's one worth trying.
Well, that sounds delicious. I mean, the bottle showed up, the label actually showed up today. It actually kind of matches my shirt. It looks really good.
So if you
Yeah.
can see that, you can type it in and see if you can get it in your area, since I am not the best at speaking French.
I think you did great, friend.
Thank you, friend. See, that's what support looks like, y'all.
So
All right.
you ready to go ahead and get into this
Let's
thing?
dive into it. Let's dive into it. I think this is another good topic to just kind of one share, but also put out there, because somebody out there, I'm sure, is dealing with this. It's something that we actually experience a lot in life, is how to deal with hurt, how to get past hurt. What does healing look like? All of these things. So I definitely think it's a good topic for us tonight.
Right.
So
Well, I'm sorry. One thing I do want to say before we even get into it is there's so many different types of hurt.
exactly.
So there's hurt by people, there's hurt by situations, there's underlying hurt, like where generational hurt. There's like so many different types of
There's
hurt.
malicious and intentional hurt. There is
There you
unintentional hurt. There is so many, hurt can take so many forms. And like I said, it can be something intentional, something that was unintentional, but doesn't mean that it hurts any less. So
Right. All right. So you want to go first? How about will you name a time that you were hurt and you were able to move past it?
So, a time that I was hurt and I was able to move past it. So, there are several, and I think you and I went back and forth with you about any one that I wanted to address and one that I wanted to talk about. And there's one that I feel okay with discussing. I talk about it a little bit in my book, where I was really good friends with someone, and I didn't feel like, one, the friendship was equally yoked, but two, I felt like jokes became um reality, so to speak. Like, you know how we say there's always some truth to a joke. And I felt like the jokes just became more and more hurtful, more and more malicious, started to just kind of see different actions and different behaviors that were aimed towards me and hurting me and my family and kind of what we had going on in our life as a couple, and that was hurtful to me. Someone that I felt was my friend, someone that I felt I was really really close to, I started to feel like um, their their hurt to me was intentional. As I said, there's unintentional hurt and intentional hurt, and I just started to feel like there was maybe some underlying jealousy there, a lot of other different things also. And so when you are really really close with someone and then you start to feel like that they are intentionally and maliciously hurting you, and it's not in your head, it shows in the actions, and then you start to try to deal with the situation and it just gets nastier and nastier and nastier to a point of no return. For me, that was hurtful. And I eventually moved past it, and I will say it took me a really long time to move past it. uh, and that doesn't mean that when I moved past it that I did it in a nice way. If somebody is hurting me, somebody's being malicious to me or hateful to me, at that time in my life, I was like, I'm gonna match your energy. Like, I'm gonna, if you're gonna treat me this way, I'm gonna turn my nose up when I see you. I'm gonna be snooty when I see you. I'm going to act like you don't exist when I see you. So all of those things, I didn't deal with in a healthy way. I know better now, and of course, I've healed from it now. But that was a time where I didn't understand, one, how to deal with something that hurt me so bad because it was a really really good friend. Um, but I know now that I didn't deal with it appropriately, and that made things worse, if that makes any sense. um,
Right.
it took time. It took time to heal from it. And I think that we'll go into how we heal a little bit later. But that's just an incident that I had to heal from, that I experienced, that I had to heal from. And I will say it took years for me to deal with that in a healthy way. A lot of growth.
Right.
What
And
about
I
you?
mean,
Tell me.
yeah, I will say, I feel like we all can put ourselves in a similar situation with that. So, thank you for sharing because, there are people that their words turn to jabs,
Yeah.
and it's like, why are you even doing this? We're supposed to be friends. Like, I don't really understand it. And I know for me, whenever I'm in that situation, I retreat.
Yeah.
So I just go back and I'm just like, okay, Lord, I'm gonna pray for this person.
And I also
um,
think for me
yeah.
that it was, and I left this out, but it was also when you start to see that your best friend doesn't clap when you win.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, when your best friend or your good friend or someone that you just feel really close to, that you would go to bat for any day, doesn't doesn't clap when you win or doesn't clap when you succeed. And then the jabs get even heavier, even harder then. So yeah, yeah, I don't you I think you said that you retreat when, like, you just kind of retreat from a situation like that. I, one, can stop talking to you, doesn't mean it doesn't hurt me, doesn't mean that I don't stay in Emmanuel's ear about how hurt I am. But when I see you, I can, back in the day, I'm better now, but when I would see you, I could meet you with that same energy.
Yeah, and me, I think when I see a person, it just comes out like it blurts out of my mouth, like,
Mhm.
you hurt me.
Yeah.
And, you like, I did not feel good. And, we've had a lot of conversations, and sometimes it's hard for me to, especially dealing with a person. It's like, I'll take the jab, then I'll go back and I'll retreat, and then I think on it because I'm a very big overthinker. So I'll think about the situation and I'm like, okay, am I taking this wrong? Is this person intentional? And then after that point, I'm like, okay, I got to say something,
Yeah.
and I have the gift of gab where I will not shut up and I may just ask you questions even if you don't want to tell me. It's because I just like to know like where I stand with people.
Yeah. So is there a
And
particular incident, or like, I know that, we kind of discussed like still being a little bit discreet because we don't want to hurt people any further. And we want what's best for them also. But any particular situation that stands out for you that hurt you and you've been able to move past it as well?
yes, I'm gonna go on a different type of hurt because for me, one of my healing moments was whenever I lost my child, and this was years ago. And it was a hurt that I harbored for years. So
Yeah.
I held on to it literally in my gut for years. So y'all may or may not know, but um, several years ago, I ended up having a miscarriage and I wasn't vocal about it.
Mhm.
I had the miscarriage and LaShonda was there with me, I think by the grace of God. Like, we had a trip planned to New York and, I ended up having to go in for a DNC. So I laughed, I cried, I did so many things on that trip.
Yeah.
And, a small select people knew about it. And for me, and I think this goes back to the relationships too, why I'm so vocal is because that one particular hurt for me, when you're married, a lot of people ask you, when are you going to have children? When are you going to have a little one? Like, it's time. What are y'all waiting on?
Get out
And
my womb.
yeah. And I had gotten so comfortable with, because who wants to say up front, hey, it's hard. Hey, I had a miscarriage, because it brings up so much hurt. So, and for me, what literally happened was I had found out I was pregnant. I heard his or her heartbeat. And then I went in for a follow-up appointment and there was no heartbeat. So for me, that was traumatic. And, to even talk about it, like right now I'm able to talk about it without completely breaking down, and there were years that I couldn't even think of it without just bawling. So I kind of wanted to take it there on a different level of hurt, where it wasn't until I started to see other people talk about the things that were going on in their life that I started to feel more comfortable with speaking out about, I was very vocal about my pregnancy, very vocal. Now I'm very vocal about how I feel, my mental health, my physical health, like things that I'm really not feeling well.
Yeah.
It's because I harbored so much hurt for several years, and hearing people talk is what got me through that process. So that is definitely one of the times that I was hurt, and I know that I've definitely healed a lot more from.
Yeah, that's definitely a big hurt, and I love that we talked about how there are different types of hurts initially, because
Mhm.
those are hurts on completely different levels. Doesn't mean that they don't still hurt, but they're definitely two different types of hurt. And I can relate to that so much. One, because I've had a miscarriage and you've been there with me through that. You were one of the few that knew as well. And it took me a year to be able to talk about it, a year to be able to not feel ashamed. Literally, the week that I found out I had a miscarriage, somebody actually asked me, like, when are y'all going to have a baby? And so people don't realize kind of what you're going through, or they don't realize that um, I know that they're just trying to, ask a question, or whatever it is that they're doing. I can't really think of what it could potentially be,
Right.
the word right now, but they just don't know what your experiences are in that moment. And so that was extremely hurtful. They meant well, they meant no harm, but to be going through something like that is just a different type of hurt. And it was a year before I started to realize that other people around me were experiencing the same things and we just weren't talking about it. And of course, that's what led me into public speaking, is that I realized that we need to talk about this. Like, we need to talk about women's health. We need to talk about miscarriages. We need to talk about the hurt and the shame that comes along with that, so that people aren't harboring it like you did for so many years. It took me a year, but it took you years to just be okay, without breaking down and bawling and talking about it. So I am 100% there with you with that particular type of hurt as well.
And I really think that it speaks to an intentional hurt,
Yeah,
because when people are coming to you and they're asking you these questions, they aren't intentionally doing that. They are definitely thinking about your well-being. They want to see you with children, but
yeah,
that's one type of unintentional hurt that a lot of women experience over and over again.
yeah. Yeah, and I think it's become so common that people expect you to just, be able to reproduce and have kids, that it's not at the forefront of their mind that this person could be struggling to get pregnant. Um, Everybody's body is different, and that's not something that's at the forefront. What's at the forefront is that you're married, now you can reproduce. That's what you do. But that's not always that the case, and it's not always that easy. So um, that's good to share with people so that people know moving forward as well, because they don't know unless we talk about it and unless we share.
Exactly. And it's almost, for me, it's at the point to where if you're dealing with something, it's almost more healing for you to just address it straight on. Everybody didn't have to know your business, of course. But for me, and this kind of moves into, I think, the next thing that we're going to talk about is how we really move past it. And how does our hurt affect us and others?
Yeah,
So for me, the more that I started to talk about it, the more empowered I felt. It's because I realized more people were dealing with this same type of hurt. It may not have been my exact situation, but they had this type of hurt. And, there's power in our voices.
yeah,
And, now it shouldn't be, it used to be looked down on, oh, the woman can't reproduce or the man can't reproduce, but it should be, and this is my thought and my heart at this point, where we normalize that it is not, everybody's just not fertile. Everybody's
yeah,
going to have, some people are going to have problems, and it's okay to talk about, even though it brings up a little bit of hurt and maybe you've had a traumatic experience. Is knowing that you don't have to harbor that, you don't have to hold it in. You're able to speak your voice and say, well, I would love to have a child.
right.
um but right now it's just not in the cards for us. I mean, just acknowledging that, and that's what I started to do a little bit later on, because at first I just completely denied that we wanted children. And I will say, personally, for me, there was a long time that I didn't necessarily want children.
Yeah, me
But
too.
yeah. But whenever you find out that it's harder than that, I mean, things that you can't get easily, you really do want in a different way. So
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
tell me
Um,
about yours.
I think the first thing that I want to say, which falls under like how does hurt affect us and others, is the cliche saying, but it's so very true: hurt people hurt people.
Exactly.
And that was one of the things that I realized in my situation, is that hurt people. Um, the person that I felt hurt me, they were hurting themselves. They were going through their own things, their own traumas, their own past traumas from childhood and growing up, and then whatever they were experiencing in their everyday life. Like, there was a lot of hurt, and then you take that energy and that hurt and that pain, and sometimes you inflict that on people unintentionally. Yes, you are intentionally doing something to hurt someone, but where is all of this coming from? Where is this anger or this hatefulness or this meanfulness? Where is that coming from? And a lot of times it's from a place of hurt and a place of trauma. So, one, that's how we affect the people around us. When we hold things in, when we harbor things, when we don't deal with trauma, past or present, it comes out in a completely different way. Same thing when you're dealing with like mental health and things like that. If it's not dealt with in a healthy way, it comes out in a negative way. And for me, it was that's what I learned about that person. But when I was hurt or when I was unhappy, when I was depressed, it came out. Like I've had people tell me, like, at that point in your life, you were kind of mean. Like you were a mean person. And I was like, I don't remember being mean. They were like, oh, you were mean. And and I'm sure I was, because I wasn't in a happy place. And so I was probably always grouchy. You've seen me grouchy.
Yeah,
I
I
was
can tell
al-
you're grouchy.
I was always grouchy. I'm sure when I wasn't my happiest or my best self. And so we take that energy out on people. And I'm guilty of it. The person that did it to me, they're guilty of it. I'm sure at some point we're all guilty of that.
Absolutely. I agree. Hurt people, heal people, help people. And I think that we all have to first acknowledge when we're hurting. And I think that's the hardest part, is to kind of move past, okay, am I hurt? Really knowing yourself and saying, I feel a type of way.
Yeah,
You know,
I'm a
having
huge advocate of self-assessment.
yes,
You know, I'm a
yes.
huge advocate of self-assessment. And like you said, that I think that's how we grow and how we move past hurt. A lot of people don't like to ask themselves, what part did I play in this? If
Mhm.
there's always a part, whether it was our reaction or our response to the way we were treated, or kind of like I said, like I met the same energy. I made things escalate and go on and on and on. Maybe I didn't initiate the hurt, but I definitely contributed to the hurt. How do I move past this? Like I have to self-assess. I have to ask myself, what am I doing to continue to perpetuate this behavior? How am I carrying myself? What can I control? What can I do? And just being open and honest with yourself. And sometimes that's even if it's still you're able to reconcile. It's even having a conversation with the person that you feel like hurt you, and whether it goes good or it goes bad, you've done your part. I think it involves taking the steps that you need to take in order to reach a place of healing. And it doesn't always end the way that we want it to end, but communication is definitely one of them.
And it also goes back to that person. So I know that like we all meet so many different people. It goes back to, do I feel that this relationship is serving me? Is it serving that person? Are
Mm,
we mutually benefiting from this relationship?
right.
So it kind of goes back to that too, where you do your assessment, you're like, okay, I feel a type of way. I don't know if it's me, if they got something against me, and then you ask the question, does it even matter? you
Correct.
know, will
Is
this,
it worth it?
is it worth it? And I'm a lover. Like I love people. I never want to leave anybody like in a less happy space than I found them. I will meet a stranger on the street. I like to meet my Uber driver and know everything about them. Like I care about people. So for me, that part's kind of hard. Like, am I going to heal this relationship? Should I even care? And a lot of times that goes back to me retreating, because if it's worth salvaging and it's worth having the conversation, then that person will also try to engage with me.
Yeah.
So a lot of times if that person never engages with me again, then I just let it be, and I say, you know what, I'll just go a different way. That person just didn't like me or not,
Yeah.
or what.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think, you know, which I, I guess what I want to say kind of like leads into how do you know when you're healed? Like, how do you know when you've healed from a situation? I think it's important to know that when you're healed, as we move into talking about how do you know you're healed, when you're healed, that doesn't mean that that person's going to be your best friend. So kind of like what you just said, is it worth it? Is am I getting something from this friendship? Like I can still be healed from that situation and we go our separate ways. I can
So
be healed from that situation and not communicate with you, but I clap for you when I see that you're doing well. I don't want to see you fail. I don't want to see you not do well in life. I just don't think that the friendship that we had or the situation or whatever we were in, it's not meant for us to hold on to. There was no benefits coming from that relationship, and sometimes it's okay to just move on.
right. We all have seasons, and I think I like to use this because I've had seasonal friends, and I feel that everybody comes into our life either, for a reason at a specific time.
Hmm.
And sometimes people enter our lives in different seasons, and they are really meant for that season. And then life gets busy. You may meet other people for a season. And just because you move on to a different season, you're right, you don't necessarily have to have any animosity, or any negative feelings towards that relationship ending.
Yeah.
I know for me, like I've had friendships that I've moved on from, and maybe we haven't talked in a long time, but you're right, in my heart, it's like if we were ever friends, we're still friends today. Like there's nothing, and I say this, knock on wood, because in my heart there really isn't much that you can do to me for me to never forgive you. I'm an Aries, and I forgive people. Sometimes I forget what I was even mad at. It's got to be really deep, um, for you to like literally hurt me. Um, but whenever you do, if if our friendship at that point, I don't feel that it's serving either one of us, then I'm just going to let it go. If we do interact again, I'm definitely going to have a conversation because I'm a big, blurber. I want to know what the problem is, but I also will clap for you if we don't even have that conversation ever. So I hope that that comes out okay, or that it comes out in a way that I intended for it to, be received.
Yeah. And the big thing that I get from what you're saying, which is a whole message in itself, is that you don't hang on to resentment.
Right.
We don't ponder over failed relationships. Um, that doesn't, and again, I don't want to take anything away from the hurt and the pain that comes with it, because I have severed friendships or gone separate ways from people that I still love to this day, like to this
Same.
day. And it still hurts me that we are not where we used to be or where we once were. But I also understand that I, that it obviously it wasn't serving a purpose. It wasn't serving a purpose. And I've healed from that and I've moved on from that, but the hurt sometimes is still there because you love that person. But again, it doesn't mean that you resent them. It doesn't mean that you hang on to any bad blood. That's where the hurt people comes in, when you're hanging on to it and you're pondering on it, and it's you take the why did you hurt me with you every single day of your life. That's where the bad stuff comes in. That's where the not so nice person comes in. And so we have to remember that we're taking those necessary steps to actually heal, forgive, and move forward, because that's for us. They're off living their lives, and having a good old time. And so we have to make sure that we are allowing that for ourselves also.
Right. And it does happen with friendships because what I think of and what goes back to me, and this is when, I mean, it's been a lot of friendships where I'm like, what did I even do?
Yeah.
Because it's like, what did I do? Because I would rather a person say, you hurt me by doing this. And then that offers closure.
Yeah.
But
And
some
either you
relationships,
want to forgive me for it or you don't want to forgive me for it. And
right.
I have to accept that. But you give me the opportunity to know what I did and why. You're not talking to
Exactly.
me about it.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Yeah. But then, I mean, and I hate to keep going back, but it's like, but then it goes back to, is that relationship even worth having that conversation?
Yep.
And I think that for lovers, everybody like me, like I love to have that conversation with every single person I meet. I like to have a closure. I like to know, all right, you did this to me, and sometimes you don't do anything, like you are hurt because you're not in that same space with them, and it's a new season, so you just have to learn to move on.
You have to
um,
learn that that was a season and now that season has ended. I'm moving into a new season now.
exactly, and I think that's where healing comes. It's
Yeah.
where you accept, and you have that relationship with yourself and that mindset. And it really is about mindset. So your mindset shifts to know that I can be healed, I can lose friendships, I can walk away from friends, and still know that that relationship is still strong.
Yep. And for me, when I know that I'm healed, and I think I said this in my book, I know that I'm healed when I can um, be in the same room with you and be okay, or when I can, like we said, clap for you and be okay, not be upset when I'm in the same room with you, not feel like, not allow something to steal my energy. When
Right.
somebody walks into a room or you walk into a situation and it immediately steals your energy or immediately turns you into something you're not or a person you're not, you may not be healed from that. So for me, it's all about how I feel, how I'm responding, how I'm reacting. That person can act a complete ass. And I'm going to be like, you know what? I can leave this situation. I don't have to meet you with that same negative, hurtful energy. And so that's how I know I'm healed. If I'm around you and I'm still annoyed or irked or whatever, I give you that I give you my energy or I allow you to steal my energy. That's when I know I'm not healed.
Yeah, I completely agree there.
Yeah.
And from trauma. So, if I take this back to like me and my situation where I had lost my child, I did realize that over time, talking about it, when I was able to talk and, not just bust out into tears, it doesn't mean that I'm completely healed, because I feel that you always have a little bit of brokenness inside of you whenever you lose a child, or whenever you're even going through different hurts with relationships. There's
Yeah.
all these little broken pieces that remain inside of us. And I genuinely feel that we can be healed but broken at the same time. And to say that is, nobody's perfect. We all have to look at ourselves and we have to decide if this is going to impact me, if it's going to affect my day-to-day life, so I can still be a broken human and have all of these hurts and all of these pains, but at the same time I have forgiveness in my heart, and I genuinely am able to live my life, go about my day, wish you the best. Again, clap for you. Wish nothing but wellness for you and your family, in spite of everything that you've done to me.
Mhm.
All of the negative things you said about me to other people, all of these hurts and things that I know have happened. But it's a decision to wake up every day and not allow it to affect your everyday life.
Yeah. I think the way that I look at that is if I break something, I break a lamp or I break a plate and I love it and I want to put it back together. I can super glue it back together. I can, gorilla glue it back together. Whatever we want to use to put it back together, the crack is still there.
Exactly.
Um, it's functional. We can eat off of it. It's not going to leak. It is a functioning lamp. It's a functioning plate. But the crack is still there. And so I think that's what you mean when you say that we can be healed from something and we can move on from something, and still have a little bit of that brokenness there. Because when you lose a child, or when you lose a friend or someone that you love and that you care about, that sticks with you, because you're always going to love them, you're always going to care about them, you're always going to remember your child. Every time you have a pregnancy, or every time that date rolls around, like, you're going to remember that. So it's going to be there, it's imprinted in our hearts. But that doesn't mean that we are not healed, and it doesn't mean that we can't move forward, and still carry that love, for those people, or for that baby that we lost. We can move forward and bring that love with us, just not the hurt all of the time that comes with it.
This is why I love you, because I can talk like jibber jabber and you get it.
Girl,
'Cause to me, I'm like all over the place, and I'm like, but you get it.
I get it, and it makes sense, and I'm sure everybody got it. What you said makes sense, but when, as you were talking about it, it just made me think of something that I had seen before, where there was something that was broken, and you can put it back together. It doesn't mean those things, the crack isn't there, or the a little bit of, I don't want to say the damage, but so to speak, that it did, it's there. Um, but we heal from it. That's the beauty of, the way God made us, is that we are able to heal. If we're cut, if we're scratched, our body heals from that. And that's how our hearts are and our souls are. So we can
Makes
heal.
everybody beautiful. Yeah. And I think that that is, in a nutshell, why I love meeting people and talking to people, because you never know what a person's been through just by looking at them. Like,
Yeah.
you never know. I remember I was in New York, and there was a guy, a taxi driver, and I got to know him. And he had moved to America, and he was talking about all the opportunity here, and he was driving, and he had hopes he was going to go and be a doctor. But it's like everybody has a story, and unless you take the time to hear people's stories, then I feel like you're missing out on life. Like,
Yeah.
life isn't just about what I do. It's not just about what you do. It's about the collection of people understanding that we're all here, that we are all surviving, that we all have these broken pieces, that we all have these hurts and traumas, and we all have different goals, ambitions, and we all have different hurts, and we're all healing. And that's the beautiful thing about, people.
Yeah.
We're to learn and grow and interact and be a community with other people. And I just feel like that's the most beautiful thing in this world.
Yeah. So just know, as we wrap up, just know that nobody is perfect. You're not perfect. We're not perfect. The other humans in this world aren't perfect. And so forgiveness is important. Healing is important. Um, Remembering that we don't know everybody's story, everybody's trauma, all of the baggage that people carry with them on a day-to-day basis. We don't know those things. And so always just be self-aware. And that will help you as you move through hurting, dealing with hurt, and it will help you as you find your way to a healthy place, and work your way through healing.
And if it's in your heart and you feel some type of way about it, life is too short to just leave it there.
Yeah.
So, regardless of what the response from the other person will be, whether it be negative or positive, if it's in your heart to say, if it's in your heart to do, then do it. If you need to have that conversation with that person, even if it's been years and it's still a little piece of hurt that's in your heart, it's never too late to have that conversation now. So that's one thing that I definitely hope that, somebody out there does listen to and take heed to. Life is just too short for us to walk around hurt and with these burdens that are on our heart. It's better to just get it out, talk about it, have the conversation, and then walk away, understanding where you are.
Yep. And even if it goes nowhere, you have released that weight. That
Right.
weight has been lifted. You've done everything that you possibly can do. The last thing was having the conversation. So whatever happens, just accept that you did your part, and now you can move forward without carrying that piece of baggage with you. Like dropping one bag at a time if you have to.
Absolutely.
But
Awesome.
Angie, I think that was a great conversation. As we wrap up, tell us what you got going on right now.
So we know that I am all about Lime Life. I'm all about empowering women. I'm all about, wanting people that want the opportunity to gain financial benefits, to gain more community, to gain more impact. I would love to partner with you. Right now, Lime Life just released something. It's called The Amazing Race, where I am looking for people that are business minded, that have ambitions to partner with me. And we are actually going to link arms and we will run this race side by side. So we would have different business goals that we are able to meet by different deadlines. So there's several of those throughout 2021. So I am looking for serious business-minded women that are open for something that may be challenging, that are open to putting yourself out there and making an impact. So if you are interested in that and you want to learn more about the business opportunity with Lime Life, please look me up on Facebook. It's Angela Robertson. Or you can message me like through our Facebook Messenger, through Instagram. It's Life with A Robertson. Or you can email me, angie@arobertson.com. Okay, so what about you?
Awesome, awesome. So as you know, I always have my book and my journal that's available. I think that 2021 is a great year to invest in a new journal, a new gratitude journal. Even if you are a writer and you like to jot things down, this is a more specific journal. So it's all about gratitude, all about appreciating where you are in life. And so it's different from the one that you're already doing. And I think that gratitude is so important to focus on. So my book, Your Guide to True Self-Love, and then my journal, Growth and Gratitude, always available. You can get the journal on Amazon and lulu.com. You can also get the book on, you can get the journal on lulu.com. You can get the book on Lulu and Amazon. But you can always just go to my website, www.lhollandsspeaks.com, and that'll take you directly to either the book or the journal. My shirts are there as well. I have two shirts right now, a black and a white one, that you can grab on my website also. So I would appreciate your support. And again, I recommend the journal moving into a brand new year. I also have two things going on right now. Tickets are on sale for the yoga retreat. Yoga retreat is actually going to be on April 10th. So if you are in Simpson County and surrounding areas, this yoga retreat is going to be a one-day event, and it is going to be awesome. Myself and Brittany Turner are going to be hosting this event. I think it's something new that we're bringing to the county, and so we would love for you to be a part of it. The whole goal is for relaxation and restoration, healing, and just getting back to yourself again. And so that's what we want this event to be about. Also going on right now is L&S Health Space. I was making sure I wasn't talking about the yoga retreat again. LNS Health Space is also happening right now. It's a space that is virtual. So wherever you are in the world, you can be a part of this. We are doing it through Zoom and streaming it live to a Facebook group. So if you just want to get in the Facebook group, you can do that. It's $20 a month. We are doing HIIT classes twice a week and yoga classes on Saturday morning. And so this is all about creating a healthy space for you. We have some amazing things coming up for the month of February, where we're going to be including a couple more things to help you become healthier. And so I'm just looking forward to it. And I would love to have you all jump in. You can jump in at any month. You're not in any contract or anything like that. You can join for February and not do it for March, so on and so forth. So if you're interested in that, you can always reach out to me via my website that I gave you, or you can find me on social media as well, which you can also get to through my website.
Perfect.
All of that.
Woo, girl, when do you sleep?
Girl. So much, but I have it going on. I'm trying to keep track of everything, but I'm excited. It's all a part of, what I love to do. So
sounds perfect. Well, y'all, we are so glad that y'all tuned in. Again, hit the subscribe button. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and leave us a comment. Let us know what you think about tonight's episode. Also, if there's something that you want to hear from us, go ahead and type that below too. We definitely would love your feedback, and we will see y'all next time. Bye,
bye y'all. Have a good one.